Hello, everyone. Welcome to Ready, Set, Action. You are joining Kristina Witmer and Debra Horowitz. We are co-hosting this episode to give SMBs and business owners advice and thoughts about growing their business. Today we have a special guest with our Omer Jamal. He is the CEO of AQX. Omar specializes in architecting AI's economic revolution and using voice AI as an untapped growth engine. A very exciting topic for today. So, welcome, Omar, and we'd love to have you introduce yourself briefly.
Absolutely. Thank you for having me, Deb and Kristina. It's an honor. Yes, everybody. My name is Omer Jamal. I'm the CEO and founder here at AQX.ai. Those are big words when we say architecting AI's economic revolution. AI is sort of the modern day electricity. I'm super excited to talk a little bit more about that today, but really trying to make an impact on how AI is going to help the broader economy, so to speak. So super excited to have you guys here with me and super excited to have this conversation, guys.
Awesome. Before we kick off questions, I'm just curious. AI has been on top of mind, for a lot of people for a while. Like, how long have you been thinking about AI? Well before me, I'm assuming.
Yeah, I mean, it's been a while. I've been reading some research reports and some consulting reports since 2015, and it wasn't until 2017 where I finally took the plunge and started my first AI company, which was in the sales automation space. And it was one of those things that we were super early, but we made a very direct impact in terms of actually helping customers. And since then, the world has just drastically changed. Since the ChatGPT of the world has sort of come about, it's one of those things that the acceleration of AI has probably been close to 100x, not just 10x. And I think it's only going to accelerate as we progress further and further. I feel like every time I look at anything, there's a new model, there's a new cool thing that you can sort of do. So I've been involved in AI since 2017 or so, and very excited about the growth and the prospect of AI and where we're heading towards.
Awesome.
Wow, that's great to kind of understand that you got in early and you've kind of seen all of these changes, and I'm sure that you've incorporated a lot of that knowledge that you've learned over these past 8 years into the new organization. So my first question was that, from what I know, you've helped North America wealth management firms raise, billions in assets. So we're not dealing with that level of customer here on Ready, Set, Action. So how do you how do you see the application of AI and really from a customer engagement perspective affecting the SMB market, or those that may have a little less than 10,000 employees, and maybe not in the financial sector specifically, but in a broader industry perspective?
Yeah, absolutely. And that's my mission, Deb, right? Like, how can you kind of impact the small to medium sized sort of businesses? If you think about AI in general, it's like the modern day electricity. And some of the bigger corporations, whether that's financial services or whether that's the Fortune 1000, so to speak, they've incorporated a lot of the technology, specifically AI, and they have been for the last 10 years or so. Any ad that we are shown across our social media feeds, whether that's LinkedIn, TikTok, Instagram, Facebook, uses some sort of predictive analytics and machine learning algorithms to display that ad to us. So the technology itself has been around for a while, but I think that the next economic revolution will be sort of the small to medium-sized enterprises that will get access to this technology. Your local pizza shop owner, your local dentist, so to speak, your local law office and whatnot. So I fundamentally believe that the next 5 to 10 years are going to be about bringing technology to those, and we have to rethink our ways in terms of how to bring this fascinating technology to that group. as both you and I know, that group is not the easiest or the fastest to adopt technology to. So I think we have to think of ways to make it easier for them. I think we need to be very supportive and consultative in our approach with them, which allows us to serve as a trusted partner rather than just another vendors, technology vendor, so to speak, because small to medium-sized enterprises hate that, right? They don't have data. They don't have there's a lack of data and transparency at the small to medium-sized enterprise level. They're unable to run reports and figure out ROI and such of any technology spend that they do. They don't have access to the resources that a larger company might. So the true partners that I think are going to win are going to do a very good job at laying out that data piece, laying out that ROI piece, and being a trusted vendor, trusted partner to their business, because I think that's how the technology is going to do. But from an impact perspective, I think small to medium-sized enterprises are the ones that are going to benefit most from AI over the next 5, 10, 20 years or so.
Wow. I'm super excited to hear that, actually, because I hadn't made that connection for the sort of the benefits of this market, but I was part of when businesses were first understanding social media as how could that be, and it did level the playing ground for a lot of people. Like, you could compete online with search, you can compete socially. So that really kind of excites me to hear your perspective on AI doing something similar. So thank you for sharing that. Yeah. I'm curious about, just as you're, as specifically maybe with your experience with AQX, like what kind of challenges do you think that like customer communication is a big challenge for everybody, and especially small businesses, especially when they don't know, like you just said, the data to validate what they're doing and how to improve it. But how does AI address customer communication?
Yeah, that's a good question. I mean, it's exactly, Kristina, what you just said. Like, you were sort of early in the social media world,
Mhm.
and I'm sure those early discussions you had in the first 5, 7 years of your business. It's like, what is this Facebook ads thing? What is the social media thing? Um, uh, Business owners, they're generally speaking apprehensive. There's a very small community that's early adopters, and I'm sure you dealt with things. It's like, oh, all these big companies have a billboard, and you can kind of do that in a digital manner today. So communication is the same thing, right? It's communication is the lifeblood of a business. You go from A to B. The quality of your relationships determine the quality of your business. There's some sort of phone interaction that business owners are having almost on a daily sort of basis. The question is, at least what we're trying to do, is like, how can you trust, instead of having humans to do it, how can you have AI to have those same conversations, especially for the tier one sort of requests? So when we think about communications, it's those conversations with the end business owners. We always find that they're generally speaking bucketed into 3 groups. So you have tier 1, you have tier 2, tier 3. Tier 2 and tier 3 are sort of the complex ones. They require payment. They require complex, specific issues towards that business and whatnot. Tier 1 is the super basic ones. It's like your frequently asked questions. It's like your customer support not being available at 8 o'clock if they want to book an appointment because the business shuts off at 5 p.m. So I think there's lots of lost revenue because most business communications just do not do a good enough job in their day-to-day business. They miss calls. They're not available after hours. They don't have staff to answer phones. People are stuck on hold. Yeah. And in today's day and age, we expect instant answers. Everybody wants an answer right away. Mm-hmm. Nobody wants to wait for anything. So that's really what we're going ahead with. That streamlined effect of business communications needs to be fixed, and AI can help there at a fraction of a cost what it might cost a laborer to do. So it's really a labor staff augmentation type model. And if you're planning on putting AI there, I'm a fundamental believer. The more you talk to your customers, the more opportunity that you have to succeed in a business. I think what we're running into, Kristina, is we're finding some who are super early adopters are like, yes, I want this, and they implement it right away. But then the ones that are laggards are like, oh, I don't know if I want to expose my brand image to AI. I prefer to have humans there. Yeah. So maybe have like a hybrid type solution. So I still think it's early days, but that's what we're finding
Yeah.
from a business communications perspective.
And just to sort of follow up to that, and this may seem obvious to you, I think sometimes people aren't having this conversation, but because people are using AI, right? They're testing it out. They're using Chat GPT and things like that. Like, do you find that they don't understand if their data is secure and how can I control it's just my information versus just the web? Does that make sense? I feel like that's not always obvious to people.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, data is definitely one thing, data privacy and things of that nature. I think it's also just trust, right? Human beings have a hard time trusting machines, trusting people, let alone machines. It still exists. I remember watching an interview with Bill Gates, and he was on some famous late night show back in the late 90s. And he was talking about commerce and how it's going to be very common that we're going to have tons of content and commerce flowing through the internet online. And today, if you look at it, like we can order groceries home, we can order Amazon at home, everything is online. But if people were scared and people were laughing in the audience in the late 90s about putting a credit card online to purchase something. So today we're almost 25, 30 years deep. And I think AI, it's like 1996 of the internet. So there's that trust factor that just doesn't exist yet. And I think it's only going to grow over time. And we're in the first inning of a 9-inning game. I fundamentally believe that. So the data piece is 100%. You're right. I'm finding that's a secondary layer. I think the first is like, how do you even trust AI to talk to your customers and engage in those conversations?
Yeah, it's interesting from a customer perspective. Like just the other day, I had found myself needing to move my eye doctor appointment. And so I could easily go online and like schedule a new one, but it wouldn't let me cancel the one for that day. And I was like, darn, I got to call the office. I don't want to call the office. This is like, I don't want to talk to a human. So I was like, going around their site, and I realized, I can send them a message through the site, so I did that instead of calling them. I think it's like, we've kind of become reprogrammed in a way that we don't necessarily want to talk to a human. But then there's other times where, I guess, depending on the level of customer support or, what you're trying to get after, that when it comes to like a technology tool, I want to talk to a person. I want to be able to fully understand what went wrong with my technology and how I can fix it. So I guess I'm just probably the worst customer, example that I can put out there. But business communication is just really so important. So can you give us some specific examples of how your platform's kind of revolutionizing customer engagement for a small business owner?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I'm happy to kind of share a few examples. So the first one we can talk about is, let's just say, home services. Let's say you need an electrician because something happened in your home, and that's one of those like immediate things that you need to fix right now because you have that problem because your power's out, your lights out, what have you. So the first thing that most people do is, and let's assume it's like 9 o'clock or something, because this is a real life example. Electricians, if you're going to go on Google, you're going to get a good ranking by Google reviews. So you've done everything right. You have a good social media presence. You've got good Google reviews. You're available online because you have a number of reviews. Let's call it 150 or 170 reviews in your local community. Now, when somebody searches electricians near me when they're having that problem at 9 o'clock at night, they just pick up the phone and they call. There's about 60% of people, Deb, that will make phone calls. 40% will just kind of do the online booking, as you were sort of alluding to. Believe it or not, the stats are still 60% of people want to talk to a live person on the phone. So that person who has a problem, they're basically just going down that list, making a call. If somebody doesn't pick up, they're going to that next visit, that next business owner. So we did this exercise with someone, and they were a little bit of a larger business, but they were getting essentially 8,000 calls monthly. And of those, they were missing 30% of them because of exactly this problem. They're not available after hours. They're not available evenings. And, people do have these problems at 9 o'clock at nighttime. And that's when they pick up. So once you face that problem as a consumer, you just go to the next visit. So, for anybody in home services or law offices where you're already doing a bunch of advertising and people might need that service right away, like personal injury law as an example. That's a type of example of AI can solve that problem for you without you adding additional home count. And there's so many types of use cases for this. Like we were just talking to somebody who owns a fireplace install company. And one of the biggest problems in the fireplace install company is there's a catalog for the staff actually to sift through and find the right fireplace for you. They have more than 2,000 fireplaces. There's nuances that go in when they go into your house. So for that fireplace install company, they just created some sort of a hotline that not only their consumers can talk, but their staff can also talk to it to find out the best, most efficient fireplace for that specific homeowner. So AI is great at that, right? AI can sift through all of that data, give you that answer right away. So whether it's a home service business or whether it's like sort of an internal training agent, AI is fantastic at it, and it's actually live being deployed today, solving those problems for customers, being available 24/7 as essentially so your digital employee. That's how I position it. It's like your second rep. That's what AI really is, and every business owner should have one.
That's awesome. So one of the things that comes up for a lot of our conversations and our guests like this one is, what do you do with limited resources, or even how do you choose where to spend your money first, right? So as you're a growing business, you choose, you need a CPA, you need some things, but then you start thinking about, where do I apply to marketing or sales or things like that? So any tips on practical steps on how do you start thinking about integrating AI for customer support and maybe B2B or different things? Any thoughts on that?
Yeah, absolutely. If you think about a business owner, right, the way that they think about solving problems is sort of reverse, which is, I need to hire people. I need resources that are going to allow me to hire people, and that's going to allow me to sort of grow my business. The smartest companies today are kind of doing the opposite. What they're saying is that we are limited on resources. How can we accelerate or equip our resources, our human capital, with additional resources, aka AI, to get 10x the output? That's what the smartest people are doing in software. Yeah. That's the smartest people are doing in media. That's the smartest people are doing even in some of these larger businesses. So I think small to medium-sized enterprises have to copy that approach. They have to fundamentally shift their mindset that you can get, even if you're not going to get 10x output, you can get 4x output today just by leveraging AI. Whether that's in content production, right? Just like boost your social media presence. There's a ton of tools out there. Whether it's in some of the business communication stuff that we're talking about today, or just general admin stuff too, right? Just like paperwork, writing stuff, day-to-day, writing emails and such. So I think that shift in mindset is step one, Kristina, where business owners really have to have that mentality that AI is going to accelerate them. It's not just another tool that they have to learn. And I think once that shift happens, it's going to take slow, as people are the hardest problem as part of this, right? As always, it's going to have a ripple effect, because that's really the opportunity with AI. That how can you work in an environment with limited resources, but have success with what you're doing. So I look at the way that we try to do it at AQX is we walk through people with an ROI calculator, so to speak, and really position it as payroll value, right? So you're getting 12,000 of payroll value for maybe $2,000. So I think that's probably the way that people have to take a look at it, that AI is augmenting labor spend.
Yeah.
And that's the shift that we're trying to pioneer.
Wow. So that makes 100% perfect sense to me. What's interesting as you say that is, I feel like, especially in the early stages of a growth, there's that emotional component that you want a team, like you want this business that feels like something or is something. And it's very counter to what you just said. So it's really interesting. And not that you won't have a team, but that, like you just said, you think, oh, who can I add to round out this? But I think it's going to hold you back. So
Yeah,
it's exactly.
and from a talent acquisition perspective, or from a talent management perspective, with AI, you don't have the benefits, you don't have the performance reviews, you don't have to worry about whether or not they're showing up on time.
No training, right? The training.
No training. Yeah. So you've got all of those things. For always give actionable tips to our audience, right? So what would be one of those actionable tips that you would recommend a business owner or a leader really take a look at in terms of leveraging AI?
Mm-hmm. I think the first and the simplest one is just use AI, just ChatGPT.
Yeah.
Right? You'd be surprised how many tourists there are. By tourists, I mean they'll download the application, they'll use it once, and they'll never check it out again because this is a cool thing. I think that the first thing that people should be doing is, and you can pick the type of AI that resonates with you. You can use Grok. Nowadays, I'm using a lot of Grok. I know Claude is very nice as well. Some people prefer ChatGPT, and I find each of them are good for certain things. So the first actionable recommendation I have is if you are a small business owner, this is how the world works, with the internet revolution, and it happened before with the industrial revolution as well. Then it recently happened with the mobile revolution, and now it's happening with AI. You just don't want to be left behind. This is one of those things that's going to go way faster than the previous revolutions. And the best way to get a feel of it is actually just use it. Right? Get it to help you write emails, get it to help you create performance reviews, just like internal staff stuff. So you're not worried about any of that trust factor or that risk factor. Just your own day-to-day. Get it to format Excel for you if that's what you want it to do. So I would say from an actual perspective, that's step number one. And then once you get comfortable with it, use it as a daily habit for at least 20, 30 days, so to speak. And after that, start incorporating it and thinking about AI as an accelerator. Like that shift in mindset that we spent some time talking about today is my second biggest action item, right? It's like you think about AI as digital employees. This is how you're going to win in the modern economy, so to speak. And whether it's workflow automation, whether it's your customers talking to AI itself, whether it's like an end-to-end sort of system that you're creating for whichever function of your business, right? It could be for finance, it could be for marketing, it could be for sales, it could be for customer support, it could be for HR. I would say just pick one of those and try to solve an end-to-end workflow. And there's many tools available that allow you to do that. So look at AI as digital employees that you're hiring in your business to accelerate your journey. And my third is, once you do the first two, treat AI as an intern, right? Don't try to give it your most complicated, hardest business flow first. Everybody wants to solve the hardest problems.
Yeah.
Solve the easiest, low-hanging problems. Treat it like an intern. If you were to hire, and it's the world's smartest intern. So if you were to hire an intern, you would train it for 3 months. You would guide it. You would give it feedback. Hey, don't do this, do this. So treat AI like that. AI thrives on data and prompting. So prompting is everything. Prompting is sort of the new programming language, which is as simple as just writing in plain English. So really get familiar with that training AI, prompting AI, as my third actionable tip over here. And prompting will give you the results other people don't. Don't just treat it like Google, which is like, give me an answer to this. Actually train it. How do you train an intern? You talk about an SOP. You talk about specifically step 1, step 2, step 3, step 4.
Yeah.
Do this. Do that exact same thing with AI. Get AI to create the prompts for you, right? AI can also create prompts for you to train itself. So those would be my 3 big actionable steps to do so. First, use it. Second, treat it as if like it could automate labor and employees. And then third, get really good at giving AI feedback, treating it like an intern and prompting it very well. Those three would be my actionable steps.
Oh, those are good.
Yeah, I found it interesting. Yesterday I was doing some research and using AI to help me. And I was watching it as it took my prompt and then laid out how it was going to go about finding all of the information that I wanted it to research on. And it was just fascinating to me because then it actually helped me see the process behind the end result. So I think experimenting, getting comfortable with it and seeing how it works so that you know better like how to prompt it. And I'm thinking that would probably help you in your customer conversations too, right? If I'm coming to you and I'm saying, here's how I understand it works. Tell me if I'm right. Tell me if I'm wrong.
Exactly.
Right?
And I mean, that's what we do. Like, obviously, as a partner, our job is to fine tune that AI to make it work for you and go through some rigorous testing just to make sure that you're happy with it. But you're 100% right, Deb, right? AI prompting it, 80% of the output of AI is depending on how you're going to prompt it. So that prompting piece is super, super critical. And I've seen very few people get it right. AI can be your best therapist. It could be your best sales rep. It could be your best customer support rep. But if you can't get the prompting right, you're not going to get any of that. So prompting AI is a skill on its own. We have some resources available on our YouTube channel. There's for some guides and such that people could utilize as well if they want, and also leverage AI to write the prompts for you, right? When you write a prompt, just be like, before you even giving it an action, just ask the AI itself, hey, this is a prompt that I have. This is a goal and a context that I wanted to get done. Do you think that this is the right prompt? Can you refine this prompt to ensure that I can get the maximum output? And AI will rejig that prompt for you and then feed that in, and you're going to get a better output for whichever task it is that you're asking the AI to do.
Do you find any difference between voice prompts and written prompts, like the way it's received?
Yeah, absolutely. Because voice is more, more conversational, so to speak. And then when you're writing it, it's more like there's more structure that's involved with it. The more data that you feed it, the better output you're going to get. So, if you just stand and give an AI a monologue for 40 minutes and ask it to just dive into your personality, it'll tell you what it thinks about your personality, and it'll do a better job than you writing we call it a 10 paragraph essay or something, because it has more data. Okay. So the more data that you feed it, the better AI is going to get you. And the data is the input, aka the prompts and the words that you're kind of speaking to AI.
Yeah. Cool. So let's wrap up with a final question here. Let's just talk about future trends. And I don't know if you're, what you can see of the future, but, any thoughts based on what you've seen and certainly your experience as well in your past positions? Anything significant impacts with trends and things? What are your thoughts?
Yeah, absolutely. I think artificial intelligence, kind of the theme of this podcast, that's really the biggest future trend. And I really want to just hone in on that point, whether, from a social media perspective, just like that's conversions, that's organic growth, that's paid, SEO, everything is changing. So AI is an accelerator for just advertising and marketing services in general, and every single business owner should be thinking about it. Same thing goes for whether it's voice AI, chat AI, which one. I think the future that we're heading towards, AI is going to be flooding the market with all types of tools. And even if you believe it or not, you probably have some sort of interaction with AI on a daily basis, but it's maybe behind. It's not so to speak front facing. So I am extremely bullish on AI for the next 6 or 7 years. I think every business owner should be utilizing it to the maximum of their ability. And then I'm very bullish on this sort of new trend of service as a software. I think the last 10, 15 years have sort of all been about software. Hey, get the software to do this. You need this software to do X, Y, Z sort of task. I think the future is all about service as a software. So we're going to need AI software is going to grow, but AI software is doing what service did. So it's doing what humans sort of did in the past. And I think that trend is only going to continue to accelerate. I think we're going to need specialized talent to solve this problem for business owners. Like, you do need to understand how to leverage AI to the best ability, because it's not going to be as mainstream or as fast as we want it to. So that specialized talent, the specialized partners, the specialized vendors, that trust factor is going to be ever so important, whichever factor, whether that's in business communications, advertising, sales. So the number 2 aspect is specialized talent is critical. And then third is customers care about outcomes. It's exactly like if you were to hire an intern or an employee, you have KPIs and you have metrics for them. I think that's going to happen with any partner as well. That's only going to get accelerated. So we're going to shift away from this, like, hey, monthly, just pay for this software, but we're still going to pay for it. We might pay more for it, but it's going to be replacing what labor is doing today. And we're going to have specific KPIs and outcome from it. Hey, we're going to automate 2,000 calls out of the 8,000 calls that we're getting. We're going to automate 2,000 calls because of the tier 1 inquiries as specifically, and we're happy to pay usage based for that for the calls that the AI handles. That's just one small example, but it's going to be super outcome based versus a specific number that's just like a monthly recurring, which we've sort of been getting used to for the last 15 years. So super bullish on AI, super bullish on services and software.
Awesome. Thank you. I mean, there's a lot to process and really put into action here. So I really appreciate it. Deb, anything last quick questions?
No.
Are you good? Okay.
No, I think, I mean, we could probably go on for another half hour on this. But I think there's lots of great tips that came out of this. So, and lots of things to be chewing on as well. So thank you, Omer, for your time today. It's been very informative.
Thank you for having me, Deb and Kristina. It was a pleasure. And thank you so much for having me, guys. Appreciate it.
Awesome. And we hope all our listeners found today's episode helpful. Thank you again for joining us. And don't forget to follow us on LinkedIn, YouTube, or Spotify, and you won't miss an update.